Hello, welcome back to the FCS Football Channel, and yes, we did lose in the Europa League final on penalties, obviously 1-0 in normal time, and we lost 10-11 on penalties. David De Gea, unfortunately, missing the decisive spot kick. So today I just wanted to really go over what that game kind of meant, and kind of the backlash and the aftermath of the whole game, and just talk about and try and get stuff in the air and try and get maybe like a conversation going. So look, if we can get that going in the comments, that'd be great. But before we do get into that, I do just want to comment on the abuse that so-called Manchester United fans have been sending our players. Obviously, Marcus Rashford has tweeted out saying he has received a load of racial abuse. Unacceptable. If you are doing that, you are scum. We've gone through this time and time again this season, unfortunately, to players like Anthony Martial. Fred has received it throughout the season. Now Marcus Rashford is getting it. Disgraceful. And of course, no matter how bad a performance is, that does not give you any right to go abuse somebody. Say that they had a bad game. You say what you want about their performance. I mean, you guys who watch the streams, watch the watch-alongs, no, I'm more than willing to give it to a player if they're not playing well. I'll say if they're playing shit. But when you start abusing them, start tweeting them, being like, I hope your kids die. Oh, you are... And then using an array of racial slurs, you are a dickhead. And look, you're not a proper fan, are you? And then obviously David De Gea, he obviously was the player that unfortunately missed the decisive spot kick. And he's received a whole load of abuse as well. And look, it's not David De Gea's fault. A penalty shootout is a lottery. It's the oldest saying in the book. A penalty shootout is a lottery. As a goalkeeper, all you can do is guess the right way and hope for the best. De Gea, yes, he didn't save one. But really only saved one himself. The other goalkeeper. Does that mean he's automatically a terrible goalkeeper? No, it doesn't. Realistically, David De Gea is a good goalkeeper. He just didn't save a penalty, and like I said, it's a lottery. There's no guarantee that Dean Henderson would have saved any. Just because David De Gea didn't save any doesn't mean Dean Henderson would have saved any. Just doesn't mean Neuer would have saved any. It doesn't matter. Realistically, it should have never have got to a penalty shootout. And that's kind of what we are going to discuss today. And just another comment before we get into the more broader and wider debate. Looking at that penalty shootout, yes, I know obviously David De Gea was the one who missed it in the end. But you look at Luke Shaw's penalty. It wasn't a great penalty, was it? Realistically, really should have saved that one. And if that went in, would there all of a sudden be abuse to Luke Shaw, who had been one of our best players this season? Or is it only because David De Gea has competition in Dean Henderson, and Dean Henderson is the new toy, is this amazing goalkeeper in some people's eyes, that he gets the abuse? That's just food for thought. Now, I think that Europa League final was a season-defining match, to be honest. I think if we win that game, it takes an average season to a good season. But we didn't, of course. And we turned up and we were awful. And I think there's so much to unpick about that performance. It was actually, in a way, the perfect season-defining game, because that is how we've played all season long, and every slight negativity we have towards this season and this team this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, came out today. So the first thing I want to touch on is the overuse of our players. It's absolutely criminal how much we've overused some players and underused other players. And this goes into the substitutes. Where the fuck was the substitutes? We made our first sub in the 100th minute. Villarreal at that point had already made 5. It's too late. Villarreal had run us around for about 20 minutes because they've had half their outfield players rotated. Where was our subs? Where has been our subs for the majority of the season? It's not good enough. And look, I've written up the stats of our players minutes-wise this season. So our star signing of the summer, Donny van der Beek, has played the equivalent of 16 games worth of minutes. 16. That's not enough for us, our star player, who when he has played, has looked very good. Especially at the back end of the season against Wolves in our last game of the Premier League. He was fantastic. doesn't even come on in the Europa League final when we're missing some creativity. Brandon Williams this year has played 7 games worth of minutes. 7. Just for comparison, last season he played 27. Where is Brandon Williams been this season? And you know why he hasn't played? Because we've had an over-reliance on Aaron Wan-Bissaka this season. Wan-Bissaka has played 52 games worth of minutes. 52. It's too many. It's far, far too many. Wan-Bissaka is a fantastic right back. He clearly and truly is. But you can't expect a player to play 52 games worth of minutes in a season like this, where games come thick and fast. Every week you have 2 or 3 games. And yet Wan-Bissaka's played pretty much every single game of it. It's not on. And I'm not surprised to see us burn out, us looking really tired and shaky. I mean, it's not all. I mean, last season Wan-Bissaka played 45. Obviously we had no real pre-season. So you could pretty much say, obviously more or less, that he has played about 97 games in a row. It's too many. Harry Maguire, 51 games this season, equivalent of minutes. 55 the year before. Bruno this season, 51 games equivalent of minutes. Rashford, 46. It's too much. It's far too much. Where is the rotation? Where is the rotation? I mean, you look at... This is quite damning, I find. Obviously, we all know Victor Lindelof isn't the greatest defenders. And we know his partnership alongside Harry Maguire isn't great. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't stop playing them together, do they? Lindelof this season has played 44 games worth of minutes. Last season played 45. Just to put this into some sort of context, Axel Tuanzebe has played 10. Eric Bailly has played 19. So combined, Tuanzebe and Bailly combined has played less games or equivalent of games in terms of minutes as Lindelof. Where is the rotation? Where is the use of the squad? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got his name as a truly iconic player, as a Manchester United player, for his role as the super sub. Obviously, his defining moment in a Manchester United shirt was that last minute goal in Barcelona in the Champions League final. And he refuses to use his subs. He doesn't trust his subs bench. And it's damning. I think them stats I just read out there. Simply, we're over-relying on too many players. And we overuse too many players. And we don't use our good squad players. Van der Beek is a quality player. 16 games worth of minutes is nowhere near enough. Nowhere near enough. And I'm not surprised to see why we haven't pushed all the way with Manchester City, who have used their squad properly. And do have top quality players. And use their top quality players on the bench. We simply don't. And it's not on. We weren't in a Premier League title race for a while. That was the time to start then maybe using Williams more. Start giving Wan-Bissaka a bit more of a rest. But it never happened. Luke Shaw the same really. Luke Shaw got a little bit more of a rest because of Tellez. But not really. It's not on. It simply weren't on. And then I think that kind of links into his favouritism again. Like I say, Williams played a lot of minutes last year, kind of because he had to. But at one point, he was our first choice left back. This year, not seen. Why? Because Wan-Bissaka is one of his favourites. One of the players he brought for big money, £50 million for Wan-Bissaka. So it was like, he has to play whenever he can. Maguire, £80 million, always plays. I think there's only been one occasion where when he has been fit, he hasn't played. It's too much. Rashford, yesterday he was atrocious. I gave him a 0 in my player ratings. I can't think of really one thing he did quite well. He played the full 120 minutes. It's favouritism at its finest. Just because Marcus Rashford is a potential match winner doesn't mean you leave him on. Realistically, you take Rashford off, you put Pogba on the left, and you put Van der Beek in the middle, we can go and win that game. But because we kept Rashford on, and I said it in the match preview, we were carrying Marcus Rashford. And in a final, you cannot carry a player. And that's exactly what we did. And that's why we struggled. And that's why, of course, it went down to penalties. I mean, that's not the only reason we went down to penalties. We went down to penalties because our manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, showed his ineptitude, showed his lack of experience, lack of confidence, really, and played for penalties. We never went for that game. We went a goal down. When we equalised, it came from a lucky goal, really, wasn't it? Rashford's shot, it deflected everywhere, fell to Cavani's feet, who just tapped into an open net. We never really created a top chance, did we? But as soon as that goal went in, Villarreal deflated. We could have went for it. But what did we do? We were happy. We were happy to see it out and make it to penalties. We could have made changes to try and win the game before it got to penalties, but no, we wanted to leave it to penalties and we'll try and win it on a penalty shootout. And like I said at the beginning, it was a lottery when it goes to a penalty shootout. And of course, we lost that lottery. And I think that has to go to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You cannot excuse his lack of subs, his ineptitude at this moment. We're bottlers. And I think he has to be at least somewhat to blame for that. Under Mourinho, we got to finals. Of course, sometimes you lose finals. That's not the big deal, but you go for it. We lost ourselves this final by trying to play for penalties. We've lost ourselves semi-finals by going too defensive. And like I say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer inexperience showed. It really, really did. And I think his ineptitude showed. I don't think you cannot get away with what we saw. And I think we've seen it all season. There's been too many times this season where we've gone a goal down in first half. In the first half where we've been absolutely dreadful. Come out in the second half. Played pretty well. Not amazingly, but pretty well. And just about got it over the line and won the game. And we were known as second half FC. That's not good enough. Of course, sometimes it's great that sometimes you go into half time. Maybe you're a bit unlucky and you come out and you win the game. But it's a weekly occurrence and that's an issue. It's all well and good being able to come back from a goal down, but you shouldn't have to be doing it every week. And that is what we are doing. It was the same again in the Europa League final against Villarreal, same against Brighton, same against Sheffield United, same against Fulham, and so on and so forth. We don't break down low blocks. This is how every team, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come into Manchester United, has stopped us. Play a low block and let us try and break them down because it never happened. It never happened. After lockdown, it was happening, and we thought maybe we've turned a corner here. This season, it's gone back to the same, and it's not good enough. And I cannot believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did that. Again, I think this is another example of his ineptitude. Why on earth did we start a front four of Edinson Cavani, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes? See what all four of them have in common? They all want to score goals. None of them, well, Bruno maybe aside really, wants to create. None of them want to create. They all are goal scorers. Cavani's a number 9. Greenwood's a number 9 that plays out on the right wing. Marcus Rashford played as a number 9 throughout his youth career and now plays on the left. They're all number 9s. They all want to score goals. There is no creativity there. Absolutely none. You look at when Pogba started playing on the left wing. There isn't a coincidence. When Pogba started playing on the left wing, Cavani started his amazing goal scoring form. Greenwood started goal scoring form. See why they started scoring? Because in Pogba, we had a creator on the left wing that, yes, he likes to score, but his main aim is to create chances and assist goals, not to score them. Bruno, again, is somewhat similar, but I think Bruno Fernandes is at times far too goal orientated. He wants to score goals too often. I do think that sometimes Bruno Fernandes can limit us. I think maybe if you played a Mata against Villarreal today, rather than a Bruno, we win that game. Because we have more creativity. Someone who's trying to find themselves in pockets and create a goal rather than try and score one himself. And then look, this is probably going to be the hardest one for a lot of Manchester United fans to admit. But some of our players just aren't as good as people think they are. Marcus Rashford, he's not world class. He's not as good as people think he is. I don't need two hands to count the amount of amazing games Marcus Rashford has had. Yes, he's scored some goals. Yes, he's got a lot of assists. Doesn't mean he's had a good season, really, does it? I think performance-wise, he's been very underwhelming too often. too often or not, his decision making lets him down. He tries to do the hard thing. Just do the simple things. A lot of our players don't do the simple things enough. And I think that's one of the reasons why we saw it against Wolves. We looked absolutely fantastic, didn't we? It was one of our best performances of the season. And to show you why, we had players like Donny van der Beek, we had Juan Mata, and we had Nemanja Matic. All three players who want to get on the ball, wants to play football, and wants to pass it round. And they did the simple things. Ahmed and Elanga, they've come out, I think Elanga has, and said, Juan Mata and Matic said to me at the start of the game, do the simple things well, play it simple, and you'll look fantastic. What did he do? He was absolutely fantastic. We all praised him, and they played it simple. They didn't just try and outskill everyone, beat 8 players and then try and put a worldie shot into the top corner. Did they? No. They played it simple. Sometimes they beat a man, but sometimes they cut in and they gave it to the simple ball to Mata, to Van der Beek. And these sort of players, like Mata, like Matic, these are what our fans call the shit plays. Same with Anthony Martial. His hold-up play is brilliant. He's a player that will come out from the front line and will support the midfield and try and create. His first touch, fantastic. His hold-up play, brilliant. Our best striker at holding the ball up is Anthony Martial, and we've been slated all season for it. Where Cavani, he's more of a goal scorer, Cavani. He gets all these plaudits. With Martial in the team yesterday, I think, again, we're a better side and we have more of a chance of winning that game. We overrate our players. Bruno Fernandes is a fantastic player. But at times, we excuse him. He wasn't good enough. He didn't create much at all against Villarreal. And like I said, I think we're playing like Mata. Maybe we would have. This isn't me trying to say Mata's a better footballer than Bruno. I think put the right players around Bruno Fernandes, as we saw after lockdown. He can be brilliant. But I think this season we've seen, especially from Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, an emphasis on them trying to score, them trying to get loads of goals rather than the team. I think we've seen Bruno Fernandes become more greedy this season. Marcus Rashford certainly so. And it's come at a deficit of players like Martial, Mason Greenwood this season. Up until obviously Pogba started playing on the left, where we had a bit more creativity there. And obviously players like Greenwood, Cavani were able to score goals more often because they had a creator there. So with all that being said, where do I stand on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Well, look, I don't know. Obviously, I made a video earlier on this season saying I believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should step down at the end of the season. I'm ultimately still at that point. I don't think he is the man. I think he's the man before the man. I could go over everything I said in that video. I think, look, a lot of the stuff I said there still remains true. Do I think he will step down? Absolutely not. I know he won't for that matter. Do I think he should be sacked? Well, I'll leave that up to you guys. I don't like to say I'm Ollie out because, we've seen glimpses. I just think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't think he's at the level. Unfortunately, I really don't. I would love him to be, but I don't see it. We've seen far too many of the same mistakes over and over this season and last season to make me think something's gonna really change. And look, I hope he does. I hope he gets the players he wants this summer, and we can kick on. I do think with a Jadon Sancho, we will be a much better side. But I think too often we have too many players that aren't good enough, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer loves. That we have too many players that are all about themselves, that aren't just trying to get the ball down and play football, are trying to play the wonder ball too often, trying to score the wonder goal, trying to be the man of the moment far too often. When at the end of the day, we need players that will get the ball down and play football like Man City, like Liverpool do. I think we're too attacking at times. We line up stupidly at times. We have a front four that pretty much all just want to score goals, and that's why we struggle. There's too many times where there's no one coming from the front line to collect the ball without Martial there. And when he does, it's because Bruno Fernandes is often it's just frustrated he's not getting the ball. And that's when he will then try some wonder ball, which then usually doesn't pay off. We need players that are better at getting the ball moving and actually start playing football. And I think players like Donny van der Beek needs to be used far more often. Juan Mata, maybe in a sense too. Nemanja Matic for certain. I think he should have been used a lot more this season. I can't believe Donny van der Beek and Matic didn't play in the final after their game against Wolves. I thought they were very good against Leicester as well. But look, it's the favouritism again, which we've gone over before. But look, what can you do? We're going to be here for next season. Obviously, Manchester United season is over. A second place is all we've got. Carabao Cup semi-final, Europa League final, all runners-up, and we lost in the quarter-final of the FA Cup. Poor season. If I had to give it a rank, probably a C. Pushing maybe a B. B-. But look, I'll probably make another video as an actual review to the season at a later date. But this is just what was going to be my thoughts on the Villarreal versus Manchester United Europa League final and where I stand up on everything and where we go from there. Anyway, if you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button below. Subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. It's going to be interesting to see how next season goes. Of course, I will be there every step of the way, as will this channel. I would just like to thank you all for your support over this last season. It has been absolutely fantastic. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one in a bit. Peace.